Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to stick to Sweden, and we're also going to stick to my home county of Skåne here in the very south of the country. Now we're going to return to a brewery that has featured on the channel many times before. I've had some really nice beers from these guys over the last couple of years. They are still a very new addition to the Swedish beer scene in relative terms, but when it comes to this brewery, if people were to ask me about them, I would say that it is most definitely fair to say that these guys are best known for their different kinds of fruity, juicy, modern, Nordic, whatever we're going to call them, sour beers. But the beer we're going to have a look at today is one that I've heard very good things about. It's a wee bit different to the ones that we've had from them in the past, from what I can gather. So needless to say, I'm very curious to see what this one is going to have in store for us. Hopefully it's another good beer. Hopefully it makes for an interesting review. And as always, I hope that you guys watching enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, we are going to head to a little place called Arlöv, which is about halfway between Malmö to the southwest and me here in Lund to the northeast, and that means that we're going to have a look at another beer from the wonderful Elmeleven. So this particular beer is called Tomorrow Forever. It comes in at 6% ABV, and they're describing this one as a blackcurrant mango strawberry waffle sour. So yeah, this one's more of a pastry sour rather than the kind of smoothie sours and stuff that we've had from them normally. But yeah, whatever you tend to get from Elmeleven in the sour category tends to be pretty damn good in my experience. But this beer was released as part of the Lokalt och Småskaligt assortment through Systembolaget here in Sweden for February of 2022. So I am reviewing 2023, sorry. So I am reviewing this one a little bit late, but not as late as a year later, we should say. So yeah, let's see what this one is going to have in store for us then. Always nice. I always look forward to Elmeleven time on the channel every month. So yeah, as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Elmeleven before, and there will no doubt be more in the near future, but there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support you give is massively appreciated, and remember you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography tagging system. Just go into the homepage, go to the search bar, put your hometown, state, county, whatever you like in there. If I've reviewed beers from your local area, they should pop up. Failing that though, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries, and you'll find this beer in the Swedish playlist along with many others. So yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and we'll chat a little bit about Elmeleven once again. So Elmeleven, as I've mentioned to you already, were originally based in Malmö, and the company was founded by Anders Kvist. So he started his brewing project a few years ago back in 2016, and he says that he views brewing his beer as a sort of artistic expression. But his interest in beer started when his friend bought him what he called a non-industrial lager beer, and he was just kind of blown away. You know, this is what beer could actually be. But soon after this, his girlfriend bought him a cheap beer kit where you basically added the water, and he just thought, you know, you must be able to do this in so much of a better way. And it was this that pushed him into kind of all-grain home brewing. But once he got this project up and going, he took part in various competitions, and then he joined the -1 collective in the Bishop's Arms Gustav Adolfs Torg in Malmö, and it was there that he sold his first commercial beers. But production over the first few years was just very small, just a couple of thousand litres, but a while later he started brewing in the Nerd, Chad and Lilla Ulfabriken brewery in Rosengård in Malmö, and he had several Systembolaget releases over the course of 2020. Initially they brewed a couple of IPAs as well, but then he really started to focus on sour beers, and I think Anders does want to try a few other things going forward with the brewery. But then the big move for these guys came in March of 2021 when a new collective brewery called Molecule was announced. So this includes Elmeleven, Nerd Brewing and Chad Beer, and they've got their brewery now in Arlöv, which starts off with a 1,500 litre brew kit, and they do open this up, you know, once a month or so. For a little kind of brew pub type thing. So yeah, it's definitely worth going and checking that out. I need to get there the next time and film a video because I missed the second one, the second opening, unfortunately. But the name Elmeleven that he uses, it comes from where he lived, which was Almbacksgatan 11. So elm in English is the type of tree, of course, elm, and then Elmeleven. There you go. So Elmeleven. But this is just something that really stuck with him from his home brewing days. And as of March 2023, when I'm producing this review for you, these guys have produced around 80 different kinds of beer, and like I say, pretty much all of them are these kind of big, fruity, juicy, modern smoothie type sour beers, the Berliner Weisse Gose type things. Yeah, it's a bit difficult to say exactly what style these beers are, but whatever they are pretty damn good. So yeah, I think that's everything we need to say about Elmeleven for the history section of the video. But if you want to learn more, you can check out the brewery website, you can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer, Untappd and Beer Advocate pages to learn a little bit more about all the different beers that these guys have done. So yeah, let's leave it at that and go on and actually have a little look at the beer. So I'll just let you have a wee look at the artwork on this one before we open it up. You can see you've got a gold top can here. There is the Elmeleven Rocket, which I have to say I really do like. Tomorrow Forever. And as you can see, blackcurrant, mango, strawberry, waffle sour, 6% ABV. You might notice that the artwork on this one is a wee touch different. You know, they seem to have gone, because it's Anders that does the artwork himself. You can see this one's just like a kind of through the window shot or something like this. So this is a wee bit different actually to what we've seen from Elmeleven before, because usually the artwork goes all the way around the can. So this is quite interesting. I would like it actually on the cans if Anders just wrote like a little bit about the artwork and the inspiration or something like that. But I would love to see him. I need to check on the website. It'd be cool for him to publish some of these artworks as well, because I really like the artwork on these beers. But yeah, again, this beer cost me, I believe, 50 Swedish kroner. It could have been 55, but I'm pretty sure it's usually 50 I pay for the Elmeleven ones. So that is €5, about £4.50 sterling, somewhere in the region of $5.50, $6 American for those of you watching in different places. But yeah, as we said, a 6% sour beer. This one, I think we have to call this a pastry sour, but blackcurrant, mangoes, strawberries, and waffle apparently. So it'll probably be waffle flavour essence that's in there, unless they've actually gone for the real deal waffles. But yeah, let's get this guy out. We'll get on with the tasting and see what it's all about. So, curious. This is going to be another red sour, I think. Now, I have said to Anders, I love the yellow sours that he does. I don't think he does enough of them, but as I say, any sour that he does tends to be pretty damn good. He really knows what he's doing with this style of beer, actually. So, yeah, the yellow sours, I'm not sure if I love them, but I'm not sure if I like them so much just because they're a little bit different from the normal things and they stand out that wee bit more. Because that's the thing, as I say, with some breweries, they do the same styles kind of over and over again, play around with them a little bit, and you know you're going to get a really solid sour. So when they do something that's a bit different, that stands out to you. But yeah, as I say, if you like these modern sour beers, Elmeleven are one of the best in Sweden. And you know, probably even further afield than that, one of the best in Scandinavia or Europe with this particular style at the moment, in my opinion. But yeah, this looks pretty nice, I have to say. As you could see, when we poured the beer, it came out with about a 1/3 finger of a frothy, slightly kind of pinkish tinted head. That has just faded away to be a very thin, kind of wispy layer over the top. There's a bit of a ring around the edge of the glass there, but it looks very nice, this one. In terms of colour, I would say that this is quite a kind of burgundy, maroon type colour, the Heart of Midlothian football shirt colour, as I've mentioned many a time before on the channel, although we have a few Hibs fans that watch the channel that get upset with that, which is quite funny. But yeah, remember, the colour of your beer depends on a few things. One, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. Two, length of your wort boil is also going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugars caramelise, and thus you get a darker colour of beer. But any barrel aging that you do or any adjuncts you put in will affect the colour of your beer as well. But yeah, those are the things that we kind of need to care about when it comes to sour beers, actually, specifically the modern sour beers, because they tend to have a lot of fruity adjuncts and stuff like that. But yeah, you can see the haze in this one is quite good. That'll be down to the oat and wheat that are in this beer. There's not too much in the way of visible carbonation, one or two big bubbles sticking toward the bottom of the glass, a few little ones going up toward the top there. But it does look very, very nice. So, to be honest, nothing particularly surprising about the appearance of this beer when you consider what style it is and the fact that I know the brewery. So, yeah, it is should be quite nice. Let's take a wee look at the aroma of this one and see what it's all about. Oh, yeah. Now, in some ways, it's typical Elmeleven, and I love the aroma of these beers. But in other ways, it's a wee bit different. So, for me, when I think about what I've had from Elmeleven in the past, this one is a wee bit more kind of savoury. This is a pastry sour technically. The other ones I think would probably have to be called smoothie sours, to be honest. Um, but yeah, this one certainly has a bit more of a savoury character to it. There's a good bit of vanilla. I think the vanilla is a wee bit stronger in this one compared to some other ones that I've had from them in the past. But yeah, it has the typical things you expect. Like I've said in many reviews before, when it comes to these modern sour beers, quite often the flavour profile and the aroma profile are both very simple, but the things just go together and they're lovely beers to drink. And that's one of the things Elmeleven, in some sense, when I think about Elmeleven, um, it's kind of you get a flavour profile in the beer that is it's quite straightforward, but it's just really really nicely done. And in the modern craft beer world, you can't really ask for much more than that. So, yeah, I do like it. I have to say, a thumbs up to Anders once again. If you do see Anders around, incidentally, do chat to him. He's a lovely, lovely guy. Very, very happy. Very distinctive, long red hair, very colourful sleeve tattoos, but lovely, lovely man. So chat to him. But yeah, this is a lovely, lovely beer, I have to say. Yeah, so we'll try and break this aroma down and just describe it for you that wee bit more in depth. So, aroma wise, for me, the backbone of this beer, guess what? It's waffles. You do get a little bit of kind of fresh white bready bread crust in there, but you get a lot of that kind of waffly pancake type character out of it, and it smells really vanilla. There's a lot of vanilla character in this one for me as well. So yeah, you've got the waffle in there, you've got a bit of the bread crust, the white bread. I do get some of that kind of yogurty petit filou type quality out of it as well. Lots of kind of creamy, as I say, fluffy white bread. Lots of creamy oats out of this one. And you do get a little touch, you can smell the wheat in there just kind of thickening the beer out. But in terms of the malt base, generally speaking, like I said, this one for me is a lot more savoury than we've had from Elmeleven in the past. Yeah, definitely a lot more savoury than what we've had from Elmeleven in the past, and it's also just got it's got a lot more vanilla to it, I would say, as well. So that's quite interesting with this one for me. Yeah. Is there anything else we should say about it? I do get a little touch of kind of grainy character out of it too, but not overly much. As I say, petit filou, yogurt type character out of it as well. Little tiny touch of a kind of Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotch coming out of this beer. So I really like how all of that goes together. Yeah, aroma wise, it's very, very nice actually on the malty side of things. Like I've said with these beers before, Anders doesn't use hops in them, and there's a bit of a debate when it comes to these modern sour beers. Do you add hops? It does give the beer a little bit more depth, but the green character can take away a little bit of the kind of sour side of the beer, or that's the main thing with a lot of the times in Sweden. Most of these modern sour beer breweries don't add hops, whereas back home in Scotland, of course, your Vault City and your Holy Goat type breweries, they do tend to add them. So it just depends on what kind of mindset the individual brewery has. So yeah, that's worth keeping in mind. But for me, this one, I'd get a little touch of green placebo effect out of this. I get a little bit of a grassy, floral kind of thing. It might be a kind of bramble quality from the Blackcurrants. So there is a little touch of a woody character, a little bit of a greenness in there. Yeah, the way that goes together is very, very nice. Yeah. Just gives you a little bit. It does give you a wee bit more depth to beer. As I say, teeny bit of earthiness, a little touch of herbal character, a wee bit of a kind of woody, brambly note, and some kind of grassy note too. But on the fruity side of things, this is where this beer gets really interesting, because you've got a fruit that's going to do. This is you do get a bit of sourness out of this one, but for me, when I think about this too, this is actually one of the more juicy smelling sour beers that I've come across from Elmeleven, because you've got the mango in there. The kind of softness of the mango kind of gives you the backbone of the fruit. The strawberry sits on top of that, and that just kind of adds to the kind of juicy character. And the blackcurrant also does the thing as well. So the thing that's a bit different about this beer is that it doesn't have like, you know, blueberry or raspberry or something that is quite naturally tart. So that's the thing that's really sticking out about this one for me. This is it's got fruits that are a bit kind of smoother and juicy actually. So I never thought about that before we opened it up. So that's one thing that's kind of striking me about it now. So yeah, you can get the mango underneath, you get the juiciness of the strawberry, and then the blackcurrant for me is the one that kind of lingers there. The blackcurrant gives it a wee bit more of an oily depth, if that makes sense, on the fruity side of things. So yeah, this is definitely an interesting sour beer, this one. I really like how it goes together on the aroma. So I think it is about time that we try this one. Like I always say, take a wee bit of time and ponder over the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. As I say, this one is a wee bit different compared to the other ones we've had from Elmeleven before. So I think we should have a look at this one and see what it's all about. So yeah, this one is the Tomorrow Forever, a 6% blackcurrant mango strawberry waffle sour from Elmeleven in Arlöv, just outside of Malmö here in Skåne in the south of Sweden. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål, cheers. Oh yeah, that's pretty damn good actually. To me, this actually feels a little bit lighter than the other ones we've had from Elmeleven as well. That's the other thing. It does still have a good little bit of tartness to it, but yeah, not quite as thick and creamy, I would say. The thing I always have to bear in mind with these kind of beers as well, the New Englands too, to an extent. When I first tried these big kind of smoothie type sour beers and the and also the kind of New England IPAs, I always found the mouthfeel was, you know, thick as fuck basically. But the how do you say, the thing is, over time your palate adjusts to this and you get more used to the mouthfeel. Like Hefeweizens I find very easy to drink now, but they used to be very thick back in the day. New England double IPA is the same, the big thick mouthfeels. So you're having to go higher and higher on the alcohol scale to get the same thickness out of the mouthfeel that you once were. So for me, this one is this is really, really nice in that sense. Yeah. This one, as I say, it's just a little bit lighter, a wee bit more oily as well, and it's not quite as savoury as I was expecting it to be from the aroma. I thought this one would be, the pastry sour thing would really kind of be a bit more prominent in it, but it's quite, it really comes out more in the aftertaste, I would say, so that's quite interesting. This is one of these beers where my expectation from the aroma is not really in tune with what we're actually getting in the flavour. So yeah, I like it when you get beers like this. They make you think a wee bit. So yeah, definitely, as I say, one of the lighter, more oily sours that I can think of that we've had from Elmeleven. But again, I like it. I do like these beers. Can't complain at all. So yeah, let's try and break this down then and describe it for you a wee bit more in depth. So yeah, middle of your palate with this beer then, that middle third of your palate, the backbone of the beer, you have this lovely kind of waffle, you've got this lovely waffle kind of character that just forms the backbone of the beer. I do think it's a bit, I'm a bit curious. I would love to know whether it's a bit of flavour essence or whether it is actually waffles that are in this one, because I know Omnipollo, they love to use they love to use like, yeah, flavour essence in the beers, and I think that's something that thickens them up a little bit. But I'm wondering with this one whether they have actually fired a bunch of waffles in it, because the flavour, it's not madly punchy in that sense. It's just there. It kind of comes out in the aftertaste. So in the middle of that back third of your palate, you can feel the waffle kind of backbone there. Just is what's forming the backbone of the beer. There's a little bit of bread crust in there. There's a wee touch of white bread, and then above that, you can feel there's a bit of wheaty character in there, just thickening the beer out. But then above everything else, you get the creamy oats out of the beer. So yeah, waffle, bit of bread crust, fluffy white bread, the thicker kind of wheaty layer, and then yeah, you can feel there's a circle in the middle of your palate where it's the creamy oats. Yeah, it's the creamy oats that are coming out, and then yeah, you have a little bit of the you've got the oats in there. You have the I would say, yeah, the creamy oats. You've got a little bit of the kind of vanilla notes in there as well. There's not too much vanilla in the flavour of this beer. That comes out a wee bit more into the aftertaste. But yeah, in the middle of your palate, you've certainly got a little circle there where it's the oaty kind of creaminess. And the oats for me feel quite thick actually, but then just a little bit in front of that, you start to get the vanilla. And maybe in the dead centre, in the absolute dead centre of your palate, you have a little bit more of Werther's Original butter candy, butterscotch sort of thing. So yeah. So yeah, there is a little touch of sweetness there in that very dead centre of your palate, but the middle third of your tongue is quite layered actually. So yeah, there's a few different things going on in this beer. So it gets a thumbs up from me. On the in terms of the middle third of the palate, I think that's everything we need to say. So we move to the back third of the palate now. In that border region between middle and back third of your palate, you can feel there's a little bit of bready build up in there, which I do like. So a little bit of a kind of bready build up. Then the base of that back third of the palate, once again, it's the waffle kind of character. It's got a wee bit more dryness, as I always say. The back third of your palate will always show you a little bit more kind of dryness and bitterness than further forward on the palate. And then yeah, above the kind of waffle there, you've got a bit more bread crust. You've got the fluffier white bread in there, which was a little bit taller and a little bit more airy. Then you've got you can feel the slightly more dense wheaty layer in there as well. But I would point out the wheaty character is mainly quite smooth and things like that as well. But above everything else, it's got the above everything else, it has that little bit more. It's got a little bit. You can feel the oaty character. You get a little touch of dryness out of the oats on that back third of the palate too. The oats just kind of creep over. So that's kind of interesting. I've never really noticed that in some of these sour beers before actually. Then above all of that, you've got some of the yeasty notes. So let's just have a wee look at that yeasty character. So yeah, the yeasty notes for me are quite the yeasty notes for me are a little bit more you do get, it's almost like a little bit of a kind of farmhousey brown bread or something that's there, a bit woody, a bit crackery, a little bit more of a kind of farmhousey woody bread sort of thing. So yeah, the way that goes together is quite nice too. But definitely on the back third of the palate, you can feel the flavour is taller, and as you come further forward into the middle third of your palate, it just squashes down and condenses that little bit more. So yeah, the way that goes together is pretty nice. Yeah, I like it. Back corners of the palate then, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, it's got a little touch of herbal character, and as you move further forward, you get a bit more floral and floral aromaticity. And this is the thing, as I said to you earlier, there are not hops in this beer, I'm pretty sure. No, no hops in this one. But that's another interesting deviation from the aroma. This beer absolutely gives you a little bit more. It does absolutely give you a little bit more. How would you say it does? It does give you that little bit more of a kind of just green component. You do get a little bit of that green placebo effect. I had to think of the word there. Brain's getting slow. It does give you just that wee touch more green placebo than the aroma would have you believe. So yeah, a little bit earthy, a little bit herbal, wee touch floral, and then almost a little bit of zesty grassiness around the kind of front curve of your tongue. So it's really interesting that you get these flavours out of this beer. So yeah, interesting. But I think that covers what we call the green component in this beer anyway. Let's look at the front third of the palate and the fruity side of things. So the border region between front third and middle third of your palate, again, you get a little bit of a bready build up in there. Yeah, so a wee bit of bready build up, smooth kind of white bready sort of things. The base of that front third of your palate is a little bit more you've got the waffle in there, you've got the bread crust, the smooth kind of white bready notes, and then yeah, you get the fruit sitting on top of that. So yeah, the fruit is kind of as I would have expected. The mango, the sort of smoothness of the mango in there is the smoothness of the mango is kind of forming the backbone of the fruity notes. Then a little bit further forward, you get a wee bit more juicy character from the strawberry. So the strawberry kind of sits on top of that, and then you have, as I say, you've got the blackcurrant sitting on top of that. So the blackcurrant really gives you the more oily character, the mango's the softer one, and the strawberry's the more juicy note that's coming out of the beer. And the thing is, when you take this beer in, you have got a lovely, yeah, juicy, fruity note to it. It does give you a little bit of tartness when you take it in. So yeah, that's for me, that's quite interesting. So yeah, lovely little bit of juicy tartness in there, and you know, it just mellows out and gives you the kind of more. It's more the strawberry, I think. You know, the impression I get is it's the strawberry that's giving you the tartness. So it comes in just behind the front tip of the tongue and mellows out and spreads back. So like I say, you've got the mango forming the base, the juicy strawberry in there, then the more oily blackcurrant sitting on top for me. The other thing to note about fruits when you add them into beers as adjuncts is that they always take away a little bit of the green component with the beers as well. So you can feel that for me, the black currant and the strawberry just spread around the sides of the tongue. So the further into the aftertaste you go, you can feel this kind of competition between that sort of floral placebo effect and the fruity, the kind of fruity notes as well. So for me, that's a really interesting aspect to this beer, the way everything just pieces together. But yeah, I like it. So let's go to the the mouthfeel then, just to round off. My brain is just tired. Oh, listen, man. So this just happens when you're filming some of these videos. But yeah, let's round off with a look at the mouthfeel then. So, the fruity side of the beer. Not the fruity side of the beer, the mouthfeel side of the beer then. Like I said, this one for me is one of the... It feels a little bit lighter than some of the other Elmeleven beers that I've had in recent times. This one's a bit more wet and a bit more oily, I find, rather than being really thick and creamy. It is a pastry sour rather than one of the smoothie sours though, so that could well be one of the reasons. But you know, Elmeleven they just make the sour beer. They don't really, you know, as far as I know, Anders doesn't really think, oh, this is going to be a goza, this is going to be a Berliner Weiss. I don't think he really thinks in those terms. Just, oh, this will be interesting, let's try that. But this one really is more of a pastry sour because it's got the waffle component in there. So that might be the reason for the difference in the mouthfeel. So yeah, that I find quite interesting. pardon me, in terms of IBUs then, I think this beer, technically speaking, will be 0 IBUs, but I do get a little touch of bitterness out of this one from that kind of placebo green component, so maybe 5 IBUs, potentially 10 at the most, but yeah. It's obviously debatable. The malt base, like we said, is very, very smooth. There's a bit of sweetness to it, a bit of creaminess. The sweetness is quite minimal, I would say, though. And then on the fruity side of things, like I say, when you take the beer in, you get a little bit of tartness out of it. There's a bit of smoothness in there, lots of juiciness, and then, yeah, you've got a wee bit more oiliness. So, yeah, the smoothness from the mango, the juiciness from the strawberry, and a bit more of an oily character from the blackcurrant for me. But yeah, overall, another very, very nice and enjoyable sour beer from Elmeleven. And these days, you can't really ask for much more than that, to be honest with you. So yeah, I think we can round off this review at that point then. So yeah, this is the Tomorrow Forever, a 6% blackcurrant mango strawberry waffle sour, as they're putting it, a pastry sour in essence, from Elmeleven in Arlöv, in just outside of Malmö here in Skåne in the south of Sweden. So yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Elmeleven as well, and we will no doubt return to these guys at some point in the very near future. But until the next time, Slange, Skål, cheers, see you guys very soon. Make sure you check out Elmeleven, check out my social media, check out theirs, and there will be more reviews to come.